Welcome to the OnlyFans Secrets Marketing Podcast. The goal of this podcast is to help both new and established OnlyFans creators learn the basics of online branding, marketing, and promotion to help you make more money with your content and maximize your time online. My name is Richard Lewis, and I have over 20 years of internet marketing experience. So let's get started with today's topic. And that topic is, what is Fansly and how do you promote it? So a few weeks back, during what I like to call the August OnlyFans Crisis of Faith, thousands of content creators jumped off the OnlyFans ship and swam over to the nearest boat that didn't look like it was going to sink. This boat, as I discussed on my episode about OnlyFans alternatives, was a site called Fansly. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the site Fansly, how it is different than OnlyFans, but also how in many ways it is the same. I'm also going to discuss how to promote it either by itself or in tandem with your OnlyFans. Okay, so what is Fansly? So Fansly describes itself on its social media as a paid social media site, which I find to be pretty clever. I mean, generally, what Fansly is it's very similar to OnlyFans, and it is a fan site, or as I like to call them, fan club sites. So the business itself is an LLC, which is a limited liability company, located in Maryland, which ironically is where I am from as well. So the company name is Select Media LLC, and it's registered in Baltimore, Maryland. Now I can make an assumption that the people are actually in Maryland because of the taxes there. They would not be just incorporating themselves in Maryland just to do so like you might do with Delaware for low tax rates. So we can assume that the people who are running Fansly are located in Baltimore, Maryland as well. Okay, so how do you use a Fansly? Okay, so much like OnlyFans, Fansly is set up with a creator interface that allows you to post pictures, videos, audio, and text messages. All of these can be PPV, pay-per-view, be time limited, and you can accept tips on your posts, very similarly to OnlyFans. I would say this, that Fansly does have one difference with OnlyFans in that it has a unique feature of being able to set up tiers similar to those that are on Patreon, for those familiar with Patreon, for your fans. So basically that means you can set different price levels and fans will have access to different content based on those price levels. Now, generally, I kind of called Fansly a bit of an OnlyFans clone in the previous episode, and it pretty much is. If you look at the interface of the site, it is almost exactly the same as OnlyFans. I can't tell why, but it always seems to run a little faster than OnlyFans. I can't imagine it has better servers than OnlyFans, but I definitely do get when I go on to Fansly that it seems to pop up a lot quicker and have a lot less lag issues. At least that's for me. So from that perspective, I do like the fact that it's a little faster. And the interface for a lot of creators, they do enjoy the interface as well. Because obviously it's not that much different than OnlyFans. And when I went through the terms of use, terms of service, all those kind of things, they are very much a carbon copy of a lot of what's on OnlyFans as well. So there's not a ton of difference. As you know, I've gone over in the podcast and also on my blog at seobounty.com/blog a number of different ways and things about OnlyFans, like every way that you can use it. I have a quick tips guide, all of that. Most of that is going to apply to Fansly. There's just not that much that's different. Which is a good thing. So if you're already familiar with OnlyFans and you decide, hey, I want to have, a second site that I'm working with, Fansly seems like a pretty good alternative because there's such a small learning curve. Now, when Fansly was popping, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when OnlyFans had its crisis of confidence or crisis of faith, about whether or not it wanted to continue producing, adult material. I went ahead and, promoted Fansly pretty heavily and got about 5,000 fans into Fansly itself. Now, I've been tracking those 5,000 fans, which has been very helpful, but it's given me a lot of insight into how people are using Fansly. Now, I will say that it's not completely done, so I'll be able to track for about 90 days through their referral program. You basically get commission for 90 days from those 5,000 fans. But I will say, obviously, there was a huge amount of use in the very beginning when people were jumping on. But what I did find so far is that people have continued to spend money on Fansly, which is very important. So there was a bit of a dip in September, but then people decided they wanted to go ahead and start spending money again on Fansly, which is definitely a good thing. So I will say that in the last, I would say, week, actually the amount of money that people are spending, it seems, on Fansly has increased. So Fansly is not sort of a fly-by-night, in my opinion, experience where people just jumped off and aren't continuing to spend money. They definitely are continuing to spend money on Fansly, which is a good thing. So if you do decide that you want to jump over, it definitely is something that is, in my opinion, pretty worthwhile. And I will say that I am currently for September of 2021 in the top 3.77% with those 5,000 users because of the referral fees that they paid out. And it's at $342 in referral fees. So at $342 in earnings, that still only puts me in the top 3.77%, which means that there is a lot of people who have earned more than $342 on Fansly this month. So again, that means that it's a viable website. And this is the kind of information that I wanted to gain from the fans, by bringing fans in. I mean, it's not bad to earn commissions, of course. The commissions are only 1% on Fansly as far as fans are concerned. So that's a good amount of money. You can imagine if 1% is $342, those 5,000 people have spent quite a bit of money on Fansly. So that is very important, and that's kind of the kind of data that I wanted to gain before I did an episode about Fansly to see if it's more, for real and not just a passing fad. Okay, so how do you promote your Fansly? Because obviously this is a podcast about promotion, marketing, branding, etc. And you want to be able to market your Fansly sometimes at the same time as you're promoting your OnlyFans, but maybe doing it separately as well. So the one thing to take note, as of September, there are not bans anywhere for the term Fansly on social media. So for those who have been marketing on OnlyFans for years, you know what a blessing this is. My advice is going to assume that there will eventually become a stigma on the term Fansly, much like there is on OnlyFans, on places like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. So right now, use caution when promoting your Fansly page, but there is a window for at least a little while to promote your page and use the term Fansly freely. If sites clamp down on these terms, obviously use caution. Okay, so I'm going to go over 33 ways to promote a Fansly page. Now you can follow along, as always, on the SEO Bounty blog at seobounty.com/127. Again, that's seobounty.com/127 for the 127th episode of this podcast. Now, for those who have found this podcast through Google, Google was absolutely in love with an article I wrote in April called 33 Ways to Promote Your OnlyFans. So I went ahead and made another version for Fansly, updated. That's a pretty similar article. If you're not familiar with the 33 ways to promote your OnlyFans, put into Google OnlyFans and any word having to do with promotion, and Google will definitely pop up that article, which it loves, and you'll be able to read that. So if you're listening and you want to get 33, promotion tips for your OnlyFans as well, feel free to jump on and do a Google search. Okay, so 33 ways to promote a Fansly page. All right, so number one, Fansly promo communities that have already popped up on Reddit. So there's already an advice forum for Fansly as well, created by the same people who created OnlyFans advice. So if you're looking right now to get your Fansly off the ground, I highly recommend that you jump on Reddit, and you'll have a whole community of people who also are on Fansly. So there also are promos on Reddit already started for Fansly as well. Fansly girls, things like that, those kind of promos. So look for those, make a search in Reddit for Fansly, and start posting on those Reddit promos. Okay, 2, update your Reddit pinned profile post. All right, so your Reddit profile will need to be updated to include your Fansly link. Remember, profiles can't contain links, so you need to post and pin a link at the top of your profile for fans to click right through to your Fansly. So for anyone who's been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that, on Reddit, your actual profile isn't a hypertext link. So you're going to want to go ahead and update. And if you're still on OnlyFans and you have a Fansly, you want to go ahead and update and pin both of those links to the top of your Reddit profile so people are familiar that you have a Fansly. Okay, number 3, start posting promos on Fansly promos. All right, so you also want to include your Fansly link under the already very busy OnlyFans promos. As of now, no one has banned non-OnlyFans links on these promos. Now, most of the time, these are auto-moderated, honestly. If the person is saying, hey, don't put your Fansly, I just don't see them doing that. Certainly if you have an OnlyFans and a Fansly link, you might just want to create a copy-paste on your phone of both of those links. And after you post on Reddit, just copy-paste both links at the same time underneath your comment. Again, there's nothing against having 2 links as opposed to 1 link. And if people are kind of getting used to seeing Fansly as well, they'll go, oh, okay, great, there's your OnlyFans link, and there's your Fansly link. Okay, number 4, post an announcement to your Reddit about your new Fansly. All right, so don't forget that your followers on Reddit get posts that you send out directly to your profile, the same as you do any other subreddit they are subscribing to. So that means you need to post a picture about your Fansly to your own profile as well. Okay, so number 5, post on not safe for work Reddits. Okay, so OnlyFans links are banned in a lot of subreddits in their rules, but not Fansly links just yet. So in the short term, you should be able to join not safe for work Reddits, subreddits, and post your Fansly link underneath. If you are kicked from the subreddit, point out that there was no rule against it. Now again, this is a little what I've referred to as gray hat. It's a little bit of a gray hat technique. You might want to check with the mods, but again, if there's no real rule that says that you can't post, a Fansly link, well, then you just point that out to them and say, hey, that's not there. Then they'd have to update it. But you definitely should post on not safe for work Reddits, especially if you jumped on to Fansly, and just in the hopes, even if you don't necessarily put the link underneath, again, if you've gone ahead and set up your Reddit profile correctly, they're going to go to your Reddit profile and they're going to see that you have a Fansly link. So no matter what, it's going to be worth it for you to go ahead and make those posts. Okay, number 6, start following new Fansly promos on Twitter. Okay, so new Fansly promos are starting up on Twitter. I run a few of them. You can personally find one Fansly promo. It says Fansly promo 48K. Another one is Fansly newbie. I run both of those promos.